We've got Lou Diamond Phillips here with us on the KJ Today Show, and we are talking his new movie, your favorite projects he's done, and his 5 cats. Good morning, Lou Diamond Phillips. Welcome to the KJ Today Show.
And that's very alliterative, the KJ Today Show. I like that. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. We have crossed paths several times because I work in the Comic Con world as a moderator and handling like celebrity fan photos. And it has always been such a joy when I worked a convention where you are there. I truly mean this. You have an incredible energy, and it's so exciting for us fans to get to experience a little bit of time with you.
Thank you so much. I mean, I've been doing a lot of cons lately, and I got to say, it's just such a pleasure, meeting the fans and seeing the reactions. And I've often said it's like being at the stage door after a performance. Everybody's still really high on the kind of interaction that you had, and for this, it's like people who have enjoyed your work over the years and finally get an opportunity to thank you in person. I mean, and I get to thank them, for the longevity of this career. So, I really approach the cons with a giving spirit, and I hope that comes off.
Oh, it absolutely does. And you've got a lot of fans listening this morning that are excited to know that we're getting more of you, and we're getting you in what seems like a really fun action movie that also, I was watching the trailer, Lou, and I'm like, this kind of feels a little bit like a Young Guns Western type of feel. Am I right in talking about that and Get Fast that's about to come out?
My character is certainly, of the Western flavor. He's called a cowboy, which is interesting because I usually play the Indian. But it's an action thriller. It reminds me a lot of like a Guy Ritchie movie that's like just a heist film. The action never stops. It's populated with these wacky, interesting, bizarre characters. And you throw them all into the mix, and it's just like watching Wolverines do a death match or something. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a popcorn movie. That's all it wants to be. It is touching, but it's also funny. And I have to say that James C. Clayton, who co-wrote the screenplay and directs it, and he plays the lead and does all his own stunts. I mean, this kid's going places. He really is. He's like a young Tom Cruise or Ryan Reynolds. I mean, I really think he's one to watch.
What about you and in the stunts? How were you a little beat up from this movie?
Fortunately for me, it wasn't as difficult as some I've done. I go back to Young Guns where I broke some bones, or like the first Power where I got beat up a lot with all the fight scenes. This guy does, he's charming and he does a lot of talking with his guns. So I didn't have to get into a whole lot of fisticuffs for this one. Which is fortunate because I don't bounce the way I used to, KJ.
I don't either, Lou.
Yeah, right. I will say, watching this stunt team, though, that's one of the things why this film succeeds so well is that this stunt team and the special effects guys behind the scenes, a group called Peacemaker, they achieved stuff that I didn't know was possible on the budget they had. I mean, they literally came with equipment that they had built themselves. And just amazing. I was really, really impressed not only with the ingenuity that they applied, but the enthusiasm with which they applied it. It was a real pleasure to watch.
We are talking with Lou Diamond Phillips, and the movie is Get Fast. It's coming out on digital in just a couple days, November 15th. Listen, Lou, the real reason we brought you here today is because I am the kitty correspondent for Pet Pals TV as well. And any chance I get to talk to a celebrity who loves cats, I'm like, all right, we're switching topics now. You have got to tell us, because you've got quite a big crew at your house, right?
Five of them. And when people see pictures of me and me and my posse, my pussy posse, on X, or I still call it Twitter because I'm that old.
Yep, me too.
They're amazed because they're huge. They're half Maine coon. So Boba, who's the biggest, is pushing 20 pounds, and the rest of them go down to Jikus, who's even at 13 is a large cat by house cat standards. But I love. They're all from the same litter. They fell into our laps. Yvonne was like, oh, I'm going to, they were feral. She goes, I'm going to domesticate them and we're going to adopt them out. And I knew the second they got in the house, they were never leaving. So they've been a real blessing, I got to say.
So I work in rescue. I have seven, and actually my youngest two are litter mates who are part Maine Coon as well. So I'm getting indoctrinated into the fabulous personalities and also the clumsiness of these giant cats that don't realize how big they are. I
No,
they
they really
ask,
don't, and they're
it,
so
it,
sweet.
it's funny, right? Like, oh
The
my
dog and
gosh.
cat.
So let me ask, because I know what my routine is like. And people hear, like, when you say you've got five cats, they're like, oh my God. So, what is your morning like with five giant cats who want their breakfast? What's that routine?
That's hilarious. And I got to give props to Yvonne because she is the mama and the nurturer of all. And we have a dog named Kitzel as well. It's actually really beautiful. We live by a nature reserve, so we get tons of birds, we get tons of wildlife, and literally, Yvonne, after she makes the coffee in the morning, or sometimes Indigo will make it, or sometimes I'll make it. I made it this morning. She feeds, she puts the bird seed out, and then she gets to the cats get treats first because that's what they expect. While
Yep.
I take the dog out and he does his business, and then he comes in line, he gets in line for the treats. So yeah, the furry feathered friends, they get their breakfast before the humans do.
That is so similar to you're like describing our morning because we do the same thing. You got to have the birds outside to keep the cats entertained. You have to.
Oh, bird TV! They'll sit at a window for hours. It's hilarious.
I appreciate you entertaining us today, and I honestly I looked for interviews about you talking about your cats, and I was like, nobody's really asked him about his cats, and he loves his cats, so I wanted to give you that opportunity to brag a little bit, Lou.
I appreciate it. And speaking of Yvonne and everything that she does, we have a book coming out November 19th called The Tinderbox Underground Movement. And it's a sequel to a book that we collaborated on called The Tinderbox Soldier of Indira, which came out in 19 and was highly successful. I mean, sold a lot. The fans loved it. The critics loved it. So that's why we wrote a sequel. And it's a bit of the original was a sci fantasy extrapolation of Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox, and Yvonne did a ton of illustrations for that. And then the second one is an offshoot of that. Yvonne came up with the story, and I wrote it. And once again, she does the illustrations. So for the readers out there, the sequel comes out November 19th, and the first one is already available in hardcover and in paperback, and that's on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com.
That's amazing, and I'm so glad you brought that up. I usually try to fit a couple of questions from our listeners in, and Susan was going to ask. She said it seems like Lou and Yvonne have such a wonderful relationship and work really well together, and wanted to know that secret.
Well, first of all, we have a lot of the same interests. I mean, you know how it is. I mean, especially as you're getting older, somebody that you want to talk to, somebody that we never run out of things to say, and we never run out of things to enjoy together. And so cats and nature and just a lot of our concerns about this world, kids and education and everything, literacy. I mean, we're both big readers, so we have so much in common, and our private time, our downtime is well spent, just by being together.
And let's talk about the downtime a little bit because Greg did want to ask. You were kind of thrust onto the scene with La Bamba, and then right into Stand and Deliver and Young Guns, and you've been going ever since. Did you feel like fame came fast and that it just keeps coming at you, or are you able to, enjoy some quiet moments?
Yes, I mean, it's interesting because, like you said, yeah, I got shot out of a cannon.
Mhm.
Fortunately, I was not a Hollywood kid. I wasn't a nepo baby. A lot of the guys that are in my generation are second generation Hollywood types, and good for them. And they had a little bit of a leg up. But my dad was in the military. My mom was a housewife in Texas, and so I kind of had my head on my shoulders when La Bamba came along when I was 24 years old, and I wasn't going to get too seduced by the Hollywood scene. Uh, but you get very self-conscious, and then I think in my late 20s and early 30s, I kind of figured some stuff out. It was like, just calm down, it'll be okay. Don't succumb to the pressure, and just remember and follow your heart. And I think since then, having a sense of humor about the industry, keeping things separate, being a dad, when I need to be a dad, and then go be Lou Diamond Phillips when I need to be, that kind of thing.
Thank you, Lou. So get fast again. We're a couple of days away from the launch. Do you have any? This was a question from Julie. Do you have any like pre-movie procedures that you go through, things that you get ready when you know the next day one of your big projects is coming out?
Uh, no, as far as the launch, man, my work is done. I get to sit back and to talk about it, which is a lot of fun. But it's funny because so many things are hitting right now. I mean, I'm also in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I got a movie in theaters December 6th called Werewolves. And now all of a sudden, it just looks like there's that I've got all this product that's been happening. But I mean, it's taken like a year and a half to get all these products. It's so bizarre that they all seem to come out at the same time, and it looks like I'm just going crazy. But and now it's the fun part for me because I can sit back and watch.
Wonderful. We'll be watching Get Fast, November 15th, 2 days away. Lou Diamond Phillips, thank you so much for being here on KJ today, and give some love to all your kitties for me.
I will do that, KJ. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me for another celebrity interview. KJ Today, where you'll find the positive vibes of pop culture, people to know, and pets. If you like this interview, please make sure you give it a like, rate, review, and subscribe. And join us on YouTube the first Wednesday of every month for the full KJ Today show, where we play trivia, bring you more celebrity guests, and even a pet of the week to keep you feeling the positive vibes.